what's notable today is that Melania is not in court with him, neither is Ivanka. But Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, and Tiffany Trump were all seen this morning, some with their respective spouses. We've also, we know that during the course of this trial, Barron Trump, the youngest son, had his high school graduation. I do think that's been a bit of a welcome distraction, you could argue, that, he's a bit at the forefront of the family right now with, his graduation, and Melania is very fiercely protective of him.
Position. Every time he has come outside of court and his supporters still love him, he's not changed any minds.
It's so true. Even yesterday, Memorial Day, which is a very well-respected holiday in the United States, Donald Trump was on Truth Social writing about the human scum who are undermining the election, the upcoming election that he's, the presumptive Republican candidate for. And, he was seen in the courthouse just this morning, less than 2 hours ago, sitting. He entered scowling, and then as soon as the reporters and photojournalists walked in, he's there with his giant smile. And that's really the image, right? The lasting image of him is he's either scowling or he's got the thumbs up, like, giant grin, and you never know what he's going to do next.
And whatever happens in terms of the verdict, he is a man who will still say it was a conspiracy. It is the elite. It's the establishment against him. It's people trying to bring him down. The sense of culpability is just not in him, is it?
No, it's very, very strong. Everything he spews is strong, and it's highly emotional. Everything he does has this brashness to it, this sense of, I don't know if it's entitlement or just, his belief in himself and what he believes, and that's right, and that's how it should be. And, it's just really interesting that this is all happening right ahead of this, very important presidential election. And we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how this is going to go.
In terms of the mechanics of what happens next, how long would we expect to be waiting for the court to actually finish up and a verdict to arrive?
So the verdict could come as soon as tomorrow. Todd Blanche is Trump's attorney. He's on the stand delivering his closing argument right now. He told the jury he's expecting to speak for about 4.5 hours today. And court has been in session for less than 2 hours. So if the jury can have, a unanimous verdict or deliberate quickly, we could see something as soon as tomorrow. But we do have additional closing arguments to come after Blanche speaks. And, it really depends on what this jury takes away from these closing arguments. I mean, Todd Blanche is on the stand right now talking about how Michael Cohen lied during his testimony. And again, so it's on these jurors to determine if Michael Cohen was telling the truth and where the holes are in his testimony. And same with Stormy Daniels and, the dozen or so others who took the stand during the trial.
So we know from Stormy Daniels taking to the stand some details. Well, I think we knew most of the details already, didn't we, of what is said to have happened between her and Donald Trump. Has anybody managed to get any kind of a reaction from Melania? Because these are allegations about infidelity, about not telling the truth, about possibly paying hush money because you didn't want your wife to find out. Whether or not that's the truth, I don't know. But, there are human costs in this, aren't there?
There absolutely are. It's what's notable today is that Melania is not in court with him, neither is Ivanka. But Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, and Tiffany Trump were all seen this morning, some with their respective spouses. We've also, we know that during the course of this trial, Barron Trump, the youngest son, had his high school graduation. I do think that's been a bit of a welcome distraction, you could argue, that, he's a bit at the forefront of the family right now with, his graduation, and Melania is very fiercely protective of him. We know that. We've seen that throughout the years, especially when Trump was president. So, she is notoriously tight-lipped. I don't really expect that we'll hear much from her, maybe once there's a verdict, but I'm not holding my breath.
If she did say something, and if she said something that corroborated another woman's version of events, so Stormy Daniels, would that make a difference?
I don't know that it would, because she wasn't called to testify. Trump didn't testify. That's a really kind of interesting standpoint. No one's really questioned Melania throughout this. She's really taken a back seat, as she did through most of his presidency. So I don't expect that to change, and I don't expect it will change going forward, regardless of what the verdict is.
You are an American.
Yeah, that is true. I can't deny it.
Get me a badge. Can you explain women who vote for and look up to Donald Trump in America, who aren't swayed at all by a man who, apart from whatever he did or didn't do with Stormy Daniels, has also just said on tape horrendous things about what he thinks about when he's with women? What is that mentality in a land that is absolutely jam-packed full of really intelligent, upstanding, thoughtful, clever women?
It's a great question. I think from what I've observed from a journalistic standpoint, I think there are women who are so fiercely loyal to their husbands and what they believe, and the people around them, that is what they choose to believe. And that's how they surround themselves with certain beliefs, and they are then tied to them once they get married, or, they choose to live in a steadfast way where their devotion to their husband kind of outshines anything else, or their devotion to their family, or whatever their belief system is. And for a lot of women, their belief system is Donald Trump, because that's what their husband or partner or family, that's the belief system. I wish there was something more intelligent that could be said about it. It's a bit baffling. I can't lie. But, I respect a woman who has strong beliefs, regardless of what they are. I do hope that ahead of this election, people will take a very close, long, hard look at what is happening in America, around the world, and at those, the rhetoric that is being spewed that we spoke about earlier by Donald Trump.
Yes. So if we got a guilty verdict or a not guilty verdict, what happens then? In terms of precedent, do we know much about what a sentence might be if it were to be a guilty verdict?
When I was reviewing what has happened in the trial thus far, I think my biggest takeaway was that Judge Juan Merchan said he, didn't want to have to put Donald Trump in jail. And I think that is very much a public opinion thing. As much as his own personal safety, he doesn't want to be the judge who is responsible for putting a former president in jail. I personally don't think we will see him behind bars. I don't think that is the trajectory, but you never know. Maybe we'll all be surprised. I think regardless of what happens, it's unprecedented. We've never seen something like this in the history of our country. I want to believe it won't happen again, but there are other charges against Donald Trump that we also could see result in a trial.
You've got a busy 24 hours, 48
sure
hours ahead.
do.
You certainly do. I've really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you very much
Likewise.
indeed.
Thank you so much.
That's Caitlin Hornik from The Sun.